Hey guys, this is Allison from Allykatkreations. How are you? Still here. If you get anything from my work, a mic drop, an epiphany, a connect the dot, a new author to read, or a new book to explore, please consider helping my work. And all the links will be linked down below. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. That helps me get out to more people. I have light workers I need to find. I'm finding the tribe. We're working aimlessly hard energetically. So needs to get out to more people. Please share. And I want to thank two amazing, beautiful souls for pretty much keeping me fed and changing my life today. So I want to give you guys a shout out. Thank you. I can eat. And that meant the world to me because my refrigerator is just about bare. So I'm very, very blessed to have that come in today. So thank you. Even though I don't think this channel is going to move in the direction of memberships. I got like 5 people that will be members for life. So I do appreciate the help. I started this earlier and I had to redo the video. They're calling, but we're going to get back to it. So today in Oahspe, Book of Fragapatti, Son of Jehovah. This is now in 2 parts, and this is a very vast and big chapter. Lots of chapters, lots to read here. So, co-host number 2 left. I'm going to read the book of God's word. I'm going to do 3 chapters from there, and I'm going to do 3 chapters from the book of Fragapatti. So bear with me. I know it gets confusing, but it's harder when it's all the way through on one end of the book, and then you start on book of God's word, and it's like, what? So I'm going to do 3 and 3. Book of God's word. Being contemporaneous with the cycle of Fragapatti, son of Jehovah, as the upper book is of heavenly things, so is the lower book of the earthly administration of God for the same period of time. And it is called the book of God's word, because it is of the first descent of God to the earth to establish his word with men through Zarathustra. Maybe God sinks in very mysterious ways why I am reading Zarathustra. Thus spoke Zarathustra. A man of Parse came God to this end 8,900 years before the Cosmon era. Chapter 1. Hear my word, O man, saith Ahura Mazda, that have been and that will be. Remember the lapse of time. Open thy understanding to the substance of the affairs of the ancients. Quibble not on names, saith Ahura Mazda, nor on places, nor words. All places are my places. All words, my words. Names, my names. All truth is my speech. All fact is my voice. By my commandments shall all the nations of the earth be made to know me and my works. The master of the Ahuns, Samadhi, high god of heaven, whose home was in Mount Vabrahi, a heaven created in heaven, 1,000 miles high. Ahuna Mazda said, how shall they know me? I, holy Mazda. They are sealed up, their souls blind as death. Behold the king, high ruler of Oahspe, king of Soqui, various with a strong sword. Soqui, I call, but he heareth not. I go to the temple. It is closed against God, Ahuna Mazda. Where are the altars of thy God, the place of the holy dance? Soqui heareth not. None can hear the voice of Ahuna Mazda. Angels and gods are scouted. O man, canst thou measure swords with the Creator? Oh, that thou couldst open the curtains of heaven and see? What is thy little learning? Shall a chick that is not hatched discourse on the philosophy of life? Behold, O man, I have told thee that the natural senses cannot understand spiritual things, but I will reach thee, thou vain city, Oahspe, thou king Soqui. Thy sword shall fall from the hilt, thy mandates be as breath blown away. Hear me, O man, say Ahuna Mazda. I open the door a little, that thou mightest learn a little about the stars. And now thou art puffed up, vain boaster of thy knowledge. Thou slammest the door in the face of the master. Thou hast gone in darkness, a driveler to familiar spirits, lazy and longing to die. Then I said to thee, behold, it is a good world, go. Then be wise. Quickly thou wert changed, bewailing the stupidity of the ancients. What better art thou, because I delivered thee from darkness, thou killest my prophets. Ahuna Mazda said, I make thee free, O man, but thou deniest my person. When I suffer thee to fall in bondage, thou criest, O God, O my God. When I deliver thee into freedom, thou goest with the sword and spear to lay thy fellows in death. Hear me, O man, that I have done for thee, saith Ahuna Mazda. Of Asu I cleft a rib and stood it up, saying, be thou a man, upright in likeness of thy God. And voice made thee what thou art, but was not, proveth I am. I said, save thy seed, O man. Ihin stood aloof from the Asuans, and was holy, but thy brother dwelt with them, and brought forth unto destruction. Be admonished, saith Ahuna Mazda. I smote the earth and broke it as an egg is broken, for I would cut loose the bond in heaven. Then all the tribes of men cried out, there is a Mazda, all power unseen. Chapter 2. In those days, when an army captured a large city, slaying the people, they carried back the spoil to Soqui, king of Oahspe, capital of Parsi, and received rewards according to the amount of plunder. Sounds like the Vikings. The wars are between the different nations of Ihuans. The sacred people of the Ihins had nothing. They were unmolested. I said, whoever layeth up treasures in this world shall find no peace. But ye have built so great a city, ye hope nothing can break it. Now I will show thee, O king, thy city shall prove the weakest of cities. I raise up one man out of the seed of the Ihins, and Oahspe, the mighty city shall fall before his hand. Ahuna Mazda, God of heaven, sent certain Lewis, highly learned angels, to look around, and afterward he called them and asked what they saw. They said, work, work. Ahuna Mazda said, work it shall be. Go ye, holy masters of generations, down to the mortals, close around about the city of Oahspe, and search ye out seed of the Ihin race, and by inspiration lead them to the fairest daughters of Ahuna in the city of Oahspe, and they shall be tempted, and anon A quickened fruit shall ripen in the city, sons and daughters. Again go ye to the Ihins, and by inspiration bring others, and have them tempted by the improvement fruit. And yet again, repeat this method in the sixth generation. Ye shall rise up a son having the gifts of Suis and Sagris, and ye shall call him Zarathustra. The Luis, the angel, who were guardians over mortals for such purpose, went and accomplished what had been commanded by God. And the child's mother name was Tushi, and the father's name Loab. Tushi was Suez born herself, and was by Samoan, an angel, obsessed before she was conceived, and during the time of maternity not suffered to wake from her unconscious trance. And by the Luis, her soul was oft taken to high heaven, to behold its glories, and then to return and inhabit her own body. Thus the child was born of all light. And in that day the obsession fled, and Tushi proclaimed within the city that no man was father to the child, but that she conceived from all light, believing because unconscious in gestation. The learned men cast the horoscope, but found nothing in the stars to alarm the kings, or worthy of credence to the maiden's story. The Luis went before God, saying, Behold, the child is born, capable of all light. Then spake God, saying, I will come, go ye and lead the way. When yet the child nursed, Ihuna Mazda spoke through the child, whilst its own spirit slept. Then again came the learned man, chief of whom was Asha, son of Zista, learned in 1,000 stars and all living creatures, and in the bones of animals no longer living. So Asha spake to Tushi, saying, Canst thy suckling talk? Whereupon God answered him, saying, Not the child, but I, even Ihuna Mazda. Think not, O man, this small lips utter words prompt by this child's soul. I am come to say the cruel hand of war, to make man know that there is an unseen master. Behold, this child has no sex. He is a Yeshua, Isu, a passionless birth. To which Asha said, Can it be this woman hath a man hidden under her cloak, and hopes to evade the just punishment of the king? O thou Hellart, that toldest a shameful tale of conception without a man. Thy lies are now added to others to make good the first. Out of the city, wretch, or thou shalt be stoned to death, and thy child with thee. Tushi made no answer, save with a flood of tears. Then spake Ihuna Mazda, saying, Hold thy hand on these lips, and perceive thou how I gesticulate with these little hands. Yea, take thou the little form in thy own arms. Then Asha feared, but fain would hid his fear, and so took the child, while Ihuna Mazda speaking, saying, O man, that thou couldst behold the spirit, and would temper thy judgment down to patience and wisdom. Asha said, If it be true that art the Mazda of the Ihun race, why hast thou come in so questionable weakness? What can a child do? Wieldest thou a sword with these little hands? I had hoped to see a god come in stronger shape, and a majesty of 1,000 angels winged and in flames of fire. Ihuna Mazda said, My wisdom is not man's wisdom, my weapons, not arrows and sharp swords. What is great in man's judgment is as nothing to me. What is as nothing to man? I will make a great, for I shall overturn this mighty city, because I am come in peace and love. The city shall be divided, man against man, and bloody war run riot in this walled kingdom. Asha said, To what end art thou come? For it be true, thou art a god born in this questionable shape. Thou hast come motive more than to overthrow the town. I charge then, most precious youth, tell me what thy purpose is, that justice may be done. Ahura Mazda said, the cities of man are nothing in my sight. I come to teach man of other worlds, and that the souls of the righteous shall live forever. I come to deliver man from darkness into everlasting light. Asha said, thy words are wisdom, or else my sudden surprise hath unfitted my judgment. I will go now, that I may reflect on this wonder. Tomorrow I will come again. Keep this matter quietly, for it be known that I, of so high estate, have talked intemperance of spiritual things. I will be doomed to death. Chapter 3. When Asha had gone, Ahura Mazda spake to Tushi, the Virgin Mother, saying, take thou thy child away and hide thyself, lest the king have thee and thy child put to death. So Tushi departed with her child and hid away in another part of the city. Now Asha went direct to Sokwi, the king, and related what had transpired. When he had finished, the king said, according to the histories of the ancients, when a god appeared amongst mortals, there were signs and miracles. Thou hast told me only words. Go therefore again to the child and say, the king desireth a miracle. Asha returned the next day, but lo and behold, woman and child were gone, and not one of the neighbors knew whither. Asha said, if I go before the king with the story, he will have me slain as an investor of lies. So the return not to the king. But there Tushi and her child dwelt. There came a maker of songs, by name Shong Jong, and he spake to the virgin, saying, where is the child? She answered, he sleepeth in the rack of hay. I will fetch him. So she brought the child from its bed and a new hay, fetching straw with its mantle. Neither had the straw's roots. Ahura Mazda spake through the child while his own spirit slept, saying, I came to thee, O Shon John. I brought thee hither, for thou shalt frame songs about the virgin's babe. Shou Jong was frightened, but nevertheless he said, can it be true in this enlightened age? A miracle shall I talk to thee, O child? Then Ahura Mazda said, behold, thou speakest not to the child, but to Ahura Mazda. Take these straws to thy writing box and plant them in a new earth, and in one day they shall grow and bear ripe wheat. So Jojan departed and planted the straws, and in one day they grew and bore ripe wheat. Shojan had sung his songs before the king, and so had permission of the court, and he went and told the king of the miracle. The king said, the philosopher Asha told me about this child, and they sent him for a miracle, but he returneth not. Thou hast come and said, behold, a miracle. What value is a miracle, save to those who witness it? Shall thy king take a thing in a belief only? Is not belief the fruit of darkness? Go therefore again to the child and bring it before me, that I may see with my own eyes. So John returned to the place, but lo and behold, virgin and child were gone. Neither knew the neighbors whither, but she was concealed in another part of the city. And now there came before her one Oshashan, who was weeping because of the apparent death of his son. To him Ahura Mazda spake, saying, weep not, O man. I have healed thy son, and also giving sight to thy daughter. Oshashan trembled at such words coming from the lips of a child, and he ran away, finding a truth his son was healed and his daughter restored to sight. In this joy he returned to the place, but the virgin and child were gone. Oshashan was holster to the king and capable of audience, and so he went and told the king of his good fortune. The king said, Asha, the philosopher, told me a fine story of this child, but when I sent for him information, he returned not. Then came Shojan, the maker of songs, telling me what he had witnessed. I sent him to have mother and child brought to me, but he returned not. Now, thou comest with the miracles such as were told in the dark ages. Go thou therefore and search the city over till they find this wonder and bring it to me before me. On this next day, another man, even the king's brother's son, came before the king, saying, This day I have seen such a wonder as would have been marvelous in the days of angels and gods. Behold, the little child has spoken to me words of philosophy as made me tremble. And yet, O king, thou knowest I am no coward. My house is hung with 100 scalps. I, this child, already proclaimeth Zarathustra in communion with the God of Ahura Mazda. To me it said, Why killest thou the sons and daughters of thy God? Think not that thy multitude of scalps are glory before heaven. Behold, I am stronger with my little finger than Sokwe thy king. Sokwe the king said, It is enough. Save this mother and child, be brought at once before me, that I may behold the truth of these wonders. Every male child in Oahspe shall be cast into fire. Thy king's brother wife had a child, and the son's wife had a child. And they foresaw that the decree of the king touched them closely. So they went forth and many, searching for Toshi and Zarathustra. But the spirit of Ahura Mazda directed the mother to go beyond the gates and led her far off into the forest of goats, where the tribe of Listians lived by fishing and hunting and on goat's milk. Ahura Mazda talked to the virgin, saying, 20 years shalt thou tarry in the forest, fearing not, for the God will provide for thee. And when thy son shall be large and stronger than other men, behold, thy God will manifest for the redemption of the races of men who are hunted and slain for the glory of the kings. So it came about that the virgin and her son dwelt in the forest of goats until Zarathustra was a large man and of mature years, and his stature was equal to 3 ordinary men. Nor could any number of men lay him on his back. But because of his gentleness, like a young goat, the tribes of the forest called him the Lamb of God, signifying strength and goodwill. Thus spoke Zarathustra. Doesn't Spirit sink really interestingly? I think so. I have a cat standoff happening right now, so sorry. Book of Fragapatti, Chapter 1. In Horub, an Etherian world on the borders of the Ark of Aza, in the procession of Sayutuvi, Kanad, and Gorse, a region of light of 10,000 Earth years ago, 100 Vespers where reigned Fragapatti, Orion chief of Obsad, and Gu Machala, and 1,000 years, god of Varati, god of Lunites. I'm not saying that right. Here's where all the names are going to be said improperly. I do apologize. And Wichita, and Shalinka, Aka, and Dow's 30,000 years, surveyor of Gris, roadway and trail of Vetisi, and Mark 70,000 years, Prim of Vaga, Tassin, Lu, Gab, and Zane 40,000 years. Fragapatti said to Jehovah, spake in the council of Oahspe, capital of Horeb, where sat million of gods, our throne itself, an ark of light, and there came from the Almighty's throne a great light, and all brilliant, and with it the matchless voice Jehovah said, my son, go to the red star of the earth. She cometh thy way, her coat is red with mortal blood. Fragapatti saith, the Father saith, the red star cometh this way, her coat is red with mortal blood. To their tables the gods and goddesses turned to mark the time, and now quickly the whisper ran to the million ears. The red star, the earth, ye recollect it was the little star, where Sethians stood man upright, now gone some 60,000 years, and F fleshed in her walls and pruned her to the quick. And then they overhauled the earth's history. These gods and goddesses measured her course to learn just when she would pass, and they found 5 years and 50 days would be her dawn of Dan, her time to cross the arc of Aza. And as yet she roamed 200 years away. Fragapatti said that such sudden light hath given such long warning. So great work cometh anon. Let my swift messengers come, I will speak to them. Then the marshals ushered into the swift messengers, saluting before Jehovah's throne. Fragapatti said, Ayutvat, my son, the light fell upon me, saying, my son, go to the red star, the earth. Her coat is red with mortal blood. Now by her time she standeth more than 200 years beyond the boundaries of Horeb. For this I call thee and thy attendants. How long will it take thee to go hither and survey the earth and her heavens and return hither? Ayutvat, well trained in such matters, said, of the earth's time 40 days. Fragapatti said, what number of attendants wilt thou require for a great distance? And Avat said, 20,000. Fragapatti said, provide then all thou requirest and go at once. Sorry, guys, Morgan is eating paper. And if thou shalt find the inhabitants of earth suitable for sacred records, commission thou the art of gods of lords to send Luis to rise up on their heir, Jehovah's kingdom. Avat said, thy will and Jehovah's be done. And duly saluting, he and his attendants withdrew, and coming to Gatwawa, ordered an arrow ship of 20,000 gauge. In 2 days it was completed. And during the time Avat had chosen his attendants for the red star, the earth, to see what was the matter, what that a god so far away as Fragapatti was, could feel and know the flow of human blood. For such is all the perfection of Jehovah's sons and daughters. Even mortals can sense things of little way, but Jehovah's uprise gods feel the breath of the stars and know that they are disordered. Sorry about that. Chapter 2. Fragapatti and the council were deeply engaged in the sortive of an Orion arc, through which the planets in Habai and her constellation passed every 1,000 years. An Etherian region where the star Unhawachata, if I'm saying that right, was dissolved some 20 days agone, and cut loose 30,000 million bound spirits, wrapped in corporally by the chief Avaya and his band of Etherian gods, who had drawn largely on the inhabitants of Fool, a garden of Horeb in Fragapatti's dominions. And Avaya had quartered the dismembered host near Sarvati, sort of, where the light of the arc fell sharply on them to deplete concourse taxed the gods for more help than was at hand, to remedy which Fragapatti's hosts were expanding the Jahayan fields of Uth and lowering the grade suitable to the spirits of darkness rescued from the Hawachata, a prolific world, bringing forth imperfect human souls to abundantly for the quality. And then Habab was near at hand to pass the arc of Sotiv with her 100 stars, many of them larger than the earth, to 70 of which the inhabitants of Habur would need to go redeeming gods and goddesses for the dawns of Dan upon them, to apportion all of which Fragapatti and his million council had work on hand, so that not seriously the condition of the earth and her heavens weighed upon them. But in the 40 days' time, or in such period as would be 40 days on the earth, Ayutvat and his attendants, 20,000 with arrow ship of fire, returned from the earth and her heavens, speeding close to Oahspe, where the marshals received them and announced them in the council. Fragapatti said, Avat and his attendants approached the throne, and Avat went in saluting and stood before the chief Fragapatti. Avat said, in Jehovah's name and by his power and wisdom, am I here to proclaim the red star in her heaven first then. It is 3,100 years since great Oahspe sowed the seed of mental culture amongst mortals and have grown to be a giant and most merciless tyrant. To learn whereof I speak, even God and his lords to honor thee, O Fragapatti, gave me voice and word, and opened the libraries of their heavens and accompanied me around the earth to all nations, tribes, and wanderers. To me, the God of earth said, greeting to Fragapatti, in the name of the Father, and to thee, his son, take thou this record to him in his council in Horeb, for I am powerless through my lords and hosts against such odds. God said, from the great time Oahspe ascended to his ethereal realm, our heaven yielded ample harvest for 1,500 years, and God and Lord succeeded in regular order for every day put upon the earth. For then came a change, for the Aegean fields pressed close on every side of the heaven, and the souls of angels and mortals turned down to the gross earth, after which time only such as were already within the second resurrection came to strove from the upper worlds. These depleted the constant rise and left out colleges, schools, and factories vacant for the hosts of Assyrians, newborn from the earth, were stubborn in their much earthly learning, spurring wise counsel and association. And there were born from the earth into atmosphere millions and millions of spirits who could not believe they were dead, but maintained that they were confined in dark dungeons, howling and cursing day and night. Sorry for that. Projection doesn't work all the time. For the seed of corporeal knowledge had taken root in the Ahuan race. They had learned the motions, names, and places of stars, the moon, and the sun, and from these, the prophecies, the affairs of nations and men, duly marked out with maps and charts, the destiny of things according to the dates of corporeal births and movements, attributing the highest central cause to the sun and stars in conjunction. And thus they cast aside all spirits, even Jehovah, reasoning that if the sun made winter and summer, and grass to grow and die, so it rule over animals and men. And so the temples built to observe the stars, before which men once fell and worshipped Jehovah, became the place of decrees to horrid deaths of all who taught or believed in spirit. And now rose a mighty nation on earth of the Ahuans and called Parsi, and they ignored these decrees of God and lords to build no city larger than 2,000 souls, forsooth declaring the lords and gods to be but inspirations from the quickening power of the sun and stars, made dark and personal by the credibility of past ages. And so in representation of the solar phalanx, they built Oahspe, a sun city which standeth to this day of 1,000,000 souls, sworn to make it the central governor over all the earth, and all other places tributary and paying for its glory. And for Oahspe, they made a king and called him King of the Sun, Soqui, to be to him and his heirs successors forever. And Oahspe was embellished and adorned above other things and places that had been on earth, the fame of which spread abroad, even Japheth and Shem and Ham, betwixt which is lieth centrally. Its colleges became famous, and its observatories were of such magnificence that their roofs were covered with silver and gold. The mirrors and lenses of dark chambers within the towers were so constructed that the stars could be read as well in the day as night. And the records of observation covered more than thousands of years by men of great learning. But now, alas, Oahspe aspires not only to be the central sun in knowledge, but in power and dominion over the whole earth. And so from her ample treasures, she sendeth forth armies to conquer and destroy, to gather and plunder, to build such greater her magnificence, So Japheth and Shem and Ham run red with human blood, whereat I raise my voice to high heaven, that Jehovah should send deliverance for the souls of men. For of the million slain, whose spirits would lie on the battlefields in chaos, or madly fighting some unseen horrid hallucination, none can be persuaded to come a holier place in heaven, while hosts of them rush madly into Oahspe to find even their souls accursed by mortals. God said, so the heaven of the earth hath fallen to the earth, save the Ihins and the 4 Ihuans, whose spirits my lords gather and prepare for the after resurrection. But among the Parsi nation none more believe the dead shall rise, nor that the spirit is, but that with the mortal death there is the end, to which the king hath made a decree, that never more shall men teach or preach of a heaven of spirits of the dead, nor proclaim a great spirit of creator. Of that said, in such manner God disclosed the affairs of earth and heaven, now deadlocked in everlasting destruction, which things in fuller details I, with an attendance, beheld in every land and kingdom. And as we sat in Vibra, in the sacred circle of light, a single star appeared before us, even at the throne of God, and from its center the book of heaven fell, as if to send broadcast before mortals the plan and will of Jehovah near at hand. At this, God said, tell me, Avat, thou that travelest across the mighty heavens and art stored with the knowledge of gods ruling over other worlds, what is a signal of this light and sacred book? To which I replied, this, O God, the time hath come to earth to prove to mortals that things whereof the gods and lords have taught. History shall no longer be locked up privately with the chosen race, the Ihins, but it shall stand before both saints and sinners. Thou shalt prove the resurrection before these stubborn kings, the slaughters of men. They may say, not as the Ihins, we believe the soul immortal, because handed down from the ancients, but because it hath been demonstrated before our eyes. God said, how shall this be? To which I replied, not I, great God, can tell, for the department is not in my keeping, but this much I know. Thou shalt send Lewis into the city of Oahspe, and they shall rise up in Surgris and Surgris of the 4th grade. All outs leave thou till Fragapatti cometh. God said, to reach the 4th grade will require 5 generations, which shall spring from the Ihan race comingly with the Ihuans. Go then, O Avat, to the Etherian home before the council of Oahspe, to Jehovah's throne, and say to the great Fragapatti, an heir to the light of resurrection shall be born ere the dawn of Dan of Horeb. Avat said, on learning these truths, I took my leave and rose and came swiftly back to thy realm. Fragapatti said, it is well. In the time of the next dawn of Dan on earth, I will take a resting spell in which to fulfill Jehovah's plan on earth in her heavens. So saluting Avat, who retired, Fragapatti proceeded with his counsel in the affairs of other worlds, making a memorandum of the time and place the earth shall near the plans of Horeb in the Etherian worlds, some 200 years yet to come. Damn. Chapter 3. But the dawn came, and in the wings of Gumanchala, home of Fragapatti, Orion chief in the Etherian worlds, high standing, came the voice of Jehovah's word, saying, my son, behold the dawn of Dan, near at the border of Horde. The wailing earth, the red star cometh apace. And God, lords, called out the name of my infant son, Zarathustra. Fragapatti rose up, hearing the voice, and saw the time fulfilled, 200 years and more, for the coming world, the time for the revealed word to mortals. To thee, O Jehovah, he said, boundless, I come with my hosts, 10 million strong. Fragapatti went into the Etherian councils of gods and goddesses. He said, the time hath come, the red star borders on the plains of Horeb. Jehovah calleth. Then the council rejoiced, for the weighty matters of hundreds of Etherean worlds were settled for a space of time, with promised rest and recreation in corporeal fields. First spake Adar, god of many worlds, a decreer of time in the Jinn, vortices in the regions of Hispian sons, saying, O Jehovah, give to thy son Fragapatti 5 years rest, the dawn of earth in Dan. Only the earth and her heavens will to deal with it. Next spake Vivaka, goddess of 3 Etherean worlds and white-haired, wielder of Skipmeter, of bars, period of Os, carbon fashioner for the arcs of Job and Sol. She said, O Jehovah Almighty, what shall we be prayer of thy daughter Frivaka? What can her love devise for the rest of the glory of our high God, Fragapatti, Orion chief? Then spake Chizin, marshal and the chief for 7 Etherean worlds, small man with flowing beard, brought forth the star Indar. He said, O Jehovah, make me contributor of much love to the rest of and glory of holy chief Fragapatti. Thus spake 10,000 gods and goddesses of their love and high esteem for the worker Fragapatti, rich in power and wisdom and love, above all Etherean gods, in Horb. Fragapatti said, 10 million strong my hosts shall be on earth and her heavens during her dawn of Dan 5 years and 50 days. We shall have no other labor, thus making it as a holiday for the gods and goddesses to redeem the fallen world. Fragapatti had spoken, so the proper officers and workmen proceed to their parts, and in 7 days the workmen proceeded to their parts, and in 7 days, sorry, I reread that. Yaddle announced the fire ship, the Beyond Float, ready for the journey. Meantime, the selection of 10 million redeemers had been made, and they came everyone like a brilliant star to their rooms in the monarch vessel. Fragapatti made Hod commander-in-chief and gave him 10,000 aides. For the curtains and Tajai, he made Metrav, goddess of Rook, mistress to the flowing east, and for the spires he made Atta, mistress of restless morn. She was weaver to Ga-ing in Rep, 4,000 years and much love, with black eyes piercing. Of music, Fragapatti made Thurviv, conductor. Sorry, totally butchered that. She was the goddess of Helm, an Etherean world in the roadway of Z and Olus, 4,000 years mistress of Nealt and Exon, one-time companion to Estat. How do I pronounce that name? Aticia, the Veruji, Love in Wan, and Sangha witch for her mirth and diversity. Of the trumpeters, Fragapatti made born conductor. He was god of Exalta, who now leave of absence. For Charistus, he made Yan of the chief. He was surveyor of Otha, an Etherean sea, and the Orion Arc of Weed, and Holin Pochaba, also on leave of absence during the Red Star Dawn. Of the libraries, he made Hata, chief mistress. She was goddess of Vita. In the Whales of South Ing, 30,000 years teacher of Ems, and 10,000 years counselor of the Orion chief Iris of the Arc Wamsi. Besides these, Fragapatti distributed minor of forces and offices of the float to such gods and goddesses whose most exalted states were the extreme opposite. That great journey through Etheria be the traverse of all serious purpose. And thus they started on their course amidst the applause of thousands of millions of Etherians, wishing them love and joy on the mirthful cruise in furtherance of Jehovah's will. Speeding swiftly across the swamps of ill, where 7 corporeal stars were dismembered 1,000 million years ago, now set with the giant fields and forming nebulae, whereto they bring at times the Drujas and the dark spirits of their worlds, that they may take on the semblance of corporeal forms to complete their neglected good works in times past, the ship rose freely, and they shot into the pastures of sea. Oahspe, god of the corporal star Tessa, 400 years, feet of 70 million Assyrians, colonizing to truth and good works. Lespa knew the float was coming, and so had called 1,000 million spectators to look upon, knowing they deserved to see great Fragapatti, and they sang and blew their trumpets, rejoicing, to which the gods and goddesses of the float cast out marauds of Archean flowers and sweet perfumes, mementos of love. To Evol, now the ship made way, where 7 Etherean worlds bordered in the Ark of Nu, pastures of Elm, god of ocean, where congregated another host of 2,000 million to see them pass, cheering with singing and with trumpets and stringed instruments. And to this god Ilum, Fragapatti caused the banners of the float to salute to the sign Jehovah's name. Being friends for 90,000 years, in Elm answered him a million posts of light amidst the waving of innumerable banners. Onward moved the float, the fire ship, with its 10 million joyous souls, now nearing the borders of Horb, the boundary of Fragapatti's honored regions, known for hundreds of thousands of years, and for this work on many worlds here, reaching Korvorkum, the roadway of the solar phalanx, near the post of Dan, where quartered 500 million Ethereans on voyage of exploration of more than 4 million years, rich stored with glories of great Jehovah's universe. Their Kalu, their ship, was almost like a world so vast and stored with an appertanience. They talked of going home. Their pilots had coursed the firmament since long before the earth was made, and they knew more than 1 million roadways in the Etherean worlds, and were best to travel to witness the grandest contrasting scenes. By their invention, Fragapatti halted there a while, and the hosts interchanged their love and discourse on their purposes, rejoicing in the glories of Jehovah, everlasting kingdoms, and through they had lived so long and seen so much, everyone had new and wondrous works to tell of. For so great in the inventive power of the Great Spirit, that never twice alike will one find the scenes in the Etherean worlds radiant differently, moving into everlasting changes, as if each were one to outdo the former in beauty and magnificence. And then again they sped onward, now richly stored with the awe-stirring wonders they had just heard from strange travelers. Presently now they float, neared the borders of Shambhat, the Earth's vortex, just beyond the orbit of the moon. Here Fragapatti halted for a day, sending swift messengers down to the lower heavens and to earth to resolve where he should have anchored during dawn. And the next day he ordered the lights lowered, and now slowly moved toward the rolling earth, down, down, till he reached the third gate of plateau from the earth service called Harati. I'm going to leave it there. I hope you enjoyed. Book of Fragapatti and the Book of God. Hope each and every one of you have an amazing weekend. Time is lapsing. Some of us know that things are going in a snap, and some of us are slowing, but that's okay. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you, everybody, for sharing, liking, and subscribing to my channel. And I hope to see you on the next one. Maybe, hopefully, with good news. Bye, guys.